Hello, fellow curious minds. My name is Rai, and today we will be diving into the strange and unsettling, learning about 3 of my favorite haunted items and or downright creepy things. First up, I have someone that you may just know about. In the sun-kissed streets of Key West, Florida, a peculiar story would soon unfold about a young boy and his beloved doll. Robert the Doll is said to have been gifted to the boy, who was the doll's namesake, in 1904, by his grandfather during a family trip to Germany. Robert Eugene Otto, otherwise known as Gene, was 4 years old when given his soon-to-be lifelong companion. While there's speculation about the doll's origins and who originally gifted Robert, he ultimately found a home with the Otto family. The unexplainable and often unsettling occurrences linked to him remain, regardless of his mysterious beginnings. Gene's parents would recall when their boy blamed messes and other outlandish findings on the doll, oftentimes exclaiming, "It wasn't me, Robert did it." They would hear Gene talking with what they had assumed to be an imaginary friend, thinking that their child was being creative and changing his voice to make it seem as though Robert was talking back at him. They soon realized, upon closer listening, that the voice was demon-like, often overlapping with Gene's and speaking at the same time. As time passed and the young boy grew, Robert the Doll would remain in the family's home in Key West, Florida for many, many years. After the death of Gene Otto at the age of 74 and his wife Annette at 76, Robert was left alone in the attic, overlooking the streets while passerbys told stories of seeing him rocking in his chair. Some would even claim to hear the doll yelling to the strangers below with the same rough voice that was described all through Gene's childhood. As the house gained new ownership, they claimed that they would hear running footsteps and childlike laughter coming from upstairs. It wasn't until the year 1994 when Robert was respectfully donated to the East Martello Museum, remaining in Florida to this day. He attracts believers and skeptics alike, and it is said that though encased in his plexiglass box, Robert still finds ways to wreak havoc on those that visit him. Letters and drawings can be seen posted around his display, sent in by those who took images of the haunted doll without his permission. These people oftentimes experience a bout of bad luck, rendering them and their families defenseless against the supernatural occurrences that they believe to have come from Robert the Doll gaining revenge. Only after they send the letters to the museum, addressed to Robert himself apologizing, do these tragedies cease from happening. And would you dare to take a photo, or would you think twice, knowing about the whispers of misfortune that follow those who do? You've heard of horror novels, but you may not have seen a book that makes your skin crawl just by looking at it, or rather, a book made of human skin. Highwayman James Allen, otherwise known as George Walton, was born November 16, 1809. Orphaned at an early age, he turned to a life of crime at 15 to get by. After being in and out of the prison for many years, his final sentence would fall to the state prison in Charlestown, Boston, Massachusetts. A most memorable attempted robbery of a man named John Fenno would inspire the bone-chilling creation of Allen's life narrative. While suffering from tuberculosis at the age of 27, he would recall the events of his life as a criminal to the prison warden, specifically noting that Fenno was the only brave man he knew for fighting back during an attempted robbery. James Allen would then state that he wanted a copy of his memoir sent to Fenno, bound in his own skin. The book was a deathbed confession. Most, if not all, crimes Allen committed were written in the book. Entries were interrupted or cut short due to Allen's illness and inability to continue speaking due to coughing fits. After Allen's death on July 17, 1837, 2 copies of his memoir would be made. A large section of his skin was removed from his back and tanned to look like gray deerskin, with the cover, translated from Latin, reading, "This book was bound in Walton's skin." One copy was sent to John Fenno, and was later rumored to be used as a method to punish his children by spanking them with it. The second copy was given to his physician, Dr. Henry I. Bowditch. It is rumored that the Boston Athenaeum received Fenno's copy sometime before 1864 from his daughter, and remains there to this day. While the Boston Athenaeum no longer permits visitors to view or make appointments to witness this book in person, you can still explore the multiple images and digital scans available on their website. Take a peek into this chilling chapter of history and discover the eerie legacy of James Allen's haunting memoir. Now this one is close to home for me, and it's a place that I've actually wanted to visit for a very long time. Locally known as the Allegheny County Poorhouse, this abandoned location has a history filled with sadness and mistreatment. A gruesome past still stands and echoes through the empty floors of these massive concrete buildings. Built in 1831, the Allegheny County Poorhouse would be constructed on land sectioned off due to a law passed in the early 1820s, requiring each county to designate a location to house inmates and perform manual labor. Treatment of these people was unregulated, often creating harmful and abusive dynamics between those sent to the farm and those who were designated as their overseers. Located about 2 miles away from the town of Angelica, New York, the poorhouse would operate as designed, built on 180 acres of land, until a devastating fire in 1923, where it was noted that 8 people perished in the flames. On March 15, 1923, a fire was found in the boiler room of one of the buildings, with the sleeping quarters of the residents located above. An explosion caused this women's dormitory to catch fire rapidly, where 21 inmates were sleeping in the night. 7 of these patients were bedridden. Additionally, there were 2 children, a 1-year-old and a 3-month-old. This explosion caused the 2 adjacent buildings to catch fire, making it so employees and inmates had to resort to jumping out of the upstairs windows. All 29 men were able to file out of the building, but only 14 women and the 2 children. The 7 other bedridden patients unfortunately did not fare so well. It is said that one of these patients, being a large woman, had to be pushed from a window, becoming extremely injured and needing to be rolled away from the heat of the flames. 6 patients and 2 employees died. After the death and destruction, fireproof concrete buildings were made to replace the ones destroyed on that devastating night. Farm work would resume as normal, and the same unregulated treatment of the patients would continue until the early 1960s, when this location was shut down permanently and abandoned. The looming structures of the Allegheny County Poorhouse still stand today. Ghosts of the past linger, along with old furniture in a room piled high with bound newspapers. However, something you won't find at this location are the remnants of beds. This is because the mistreatment of these patients still linger, since they would not have been given anything more than straw mats to sleep on. Though this is private property, there are many images available online, taken by talented photographers specializing in abandoned buildings that gained permission from past owners of the land. It is even said that a graveyard resides on the property, showing nothing more than numbers on small headstones. So what do you think? Would you want to witness any of these in person? Tell me about any of your favorite haunted locations or items. Maybe you grew up in a childhood home haunted by ghosts, or a peculiar item that you came across in an antique shop. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Stay spooky, and have a happy Halloween.